Okay, this is just gonna be a quick video to for you guys to hopefully help me diagnose some issues that I'm experiencing with my 2008 1098 here. It's got 28,000 kilometers on it. I just recently adjusted the valves. However, this issue was present just at the tail end of last season. Last couple of days, it started to act up in this way, and that's at low throttle position openings. It seems to want to cut the spark or the fuel very abruptly, and the check engine light flashes for just a split second, and then it would go away, and then the bike would kind of come back to life. But it's quite jarring, and it makes the bike quite dangerous to ride as it is right now. Now, the unfortunate part of this is it only happens when the bike's driving the rear wheel, so I haven't been able to reproduce the issue in my garage, and it's a pretty disgusting day outside. It's still very much spring. There's still quite a bit of snow on the ground. The roads are still quite gross, but I have managed to get out for a couple different testing rides. Anyway, so what we've done here is I have my multimeter just kind of hooked up willy-nilly to the battery so that I have another way of confirming the current battery voltage, as you guys have suggested that these things are very susceptible to voltage changes. So, and then down here we have it hooked up to the KKL cable and then to the Fiat Alpha leads here on the battery. And we'll go over to the computer here that I have set up in such a way that we'll be able to see the throttle position sensor as we work it here. And we're going to do this in with the bike with the ignition on but the engine off, and then again with the bike on. Now, of course, I'm not going to be able to open it up in the garage here as much as I can with the engine off. However, I'll let it warm up first, and we'll see where we're at. So we'll turn our multimeter on here, and as of right now we have a reading of 13.7 volts. And we'll connect to the Ducati Diag. So we'll get that connecting. We'll turn the bike on. We'll check the voltage on here. It's reading 12.9, which it is also reading on this. It's kind of slowly going down quite rapidly. I even do have it plugged into the battery tender, but it just kind of trickles its way down quite rapidly as it's on. Not quite as fast, obviously, once the headlights turn off. Seems to settle out at around 12.4, 12.5 volts. And that's somewhat confirmed in Ducati Diag. It's reading 12.8 volts. So my TPS sensor right now is reading the throttle at 2.5 degrees, and this is at full close. The throttle's completely closed, and it's reading at 2.5 degrees. So we'll open up our test reset menu to bring up everything for our throttle position sensor. It reads that it's at minimum. If I kind of press the throttle forward more closed, it'll go down to 2.8 degrees, but kind of bounce between 2.8 and 3. If I leave it static, it still bounces around. So we'll perform a TPS reset here. So we'll reset it. Reads okay. Still kind of bounces around a bit. Open the throttle up a bit. Let her close again. It's at full close. TPS reset. Okay, so now that that's done, I'll try and position the camera here in such a way that you'll be able to see both the computer screen and my hand, if that's at all possible. There, right there seems to be it. So what would normally happen is when I'm at small throttle openings, say this much or so. This is basically right around where you'd be at to just fart around the city, following in traffic to go 50 or so kilometers an hour. And then if I'd then come off of the throttle gradually, you can see the TPS degrees slowly going down as I twist my hand. Very slowly. and then right there. And I actually just got a check engine light on the computer too. So let's see if we can get that to happen again. So open the throttle up a bit. And we'll slowly come back down. This is kind of just like if you're in traffic and another vehicle ahead of you is traveling slower than you are, so you kind of let off the throttle to, there's the check engine light again. And what seems to be happening is, so we'll go all the way from full open. So here's full open at 85 degrees. It's reading that the TPS is at full open. And we'll slowly come down and see if we can get that error to come up again. So nice and slow. Getting down to about where it happens now. Right there. It shoots all the way up to 42 degrees, and it's kind of bouncing all over the place right here. I'm not really moving my hand, but it was kind of shooting all over the place. And right when that happens, the bike's throwing a code. I'm actually quite excited right now because I've never got it to do this when we're sitting in the garage. We'll bring it back down again nice and slow, and there it goes again. Shoots right up to 80 something with it, and the throttle's just beyond being closed. It's only open a tiny little bit at this point. Keep coming down. 9 degrees. Shoots all the way up to 22 and then to 69. Check engine light comes on. And if I let go of the throttle, it goes off. So, let's see if we can find out what error it's throwing here. So, we'll close down our TPS menu. We'll go into the DTC. And it's listing an error for the line A CCAN Fiat cable. So, let's clear that. And we'll see if we can pull up any new ones. Now it's not pulling up any. So, let's see if we can do this again here. We'll go back to the TPS. And actually the TPS's reset button's even grayed out now. It won't even let me do anything with it. Same thing with the service reset. So I'll try and come up here nice and slow. And it would only happen like as long as I'm accelerating, like getting on the throttle and letting the bike accelerate. No issues whatsoever. It pulls like a freight train, works very best. But as soon as I try and slow down by letting go of the throttle or just chopping the throttle or doing anything with it, but right about by the time it hits between 5 and 4,000 RPM or so, right around there, sometimes up around 6, it just depends on how fast I let go of the throttle, I guess. Right as it comes down, we're at 13 degrees here now, 10, 8, there it is right there. It shoots back up again. See if I can get it to happen again here. Come down with the throttle nice and slow. There it is right there, and the check engine light comes on. So let's see what that error is. We'll open up the DTC, if it'll let me here. Oh, I think Ducati Diag might have froze. Yes, it did. Okay, we'll have to restart it here. I don't want to turn the bike off, so we'll just reconnect here and see if we can pull up those errors. So now it's pulling up an error for the throttle position sensor. So we'll clear that. Hit the DTC button again. Not coming up with any errors now. So, again, go into the test reset menu and see if I can get it to happen. And it seems to only happen if I'm letting off, not always, but if I let off the throttle really quickly, it seems to kind of just skip over the spot where it's having an issue. So like if I'm out driving and I just immediately chop the throttle like this, it doesn't do it. But then, say if I'm coming down nice and slowly, such as this, right there, does it again, and the check engine light flashes. Oops. battery reading is 12.6 right now. And this is all with the bike off. 12.7 read on the dash, and Ducati Diag is also reading 12.7. So I'm thinking now that this could possibly be a faulty throttle position sensor, because I mean it's doing it now without the bike even being on. It's got a constant supply of electricity as I have it plugged into my battery tender here. I don't know how much juice those things put into the battery. It's probably not much. I know they're pretty low. It's basically just for maintenance of the battery, and whenever my bike's parked in this garage here, it's always plugged into that. Whenever I'm not using it, I keep it plugged into that just to keep the battery fully charged. I've never had any issues with it starting at all, which is quite weird. So, just for the sake of the video here, what we'll do, I can't run the bike for too long because it's so, I'm inside my garage, it's really gross outside, and I don't want to kind of suffocate myself. But what we'll do, we'll close that. We'll start the bike up here for a minute so we can get a look at the voltage readings while the bike's running. So right now, key on with the lights are off right now because it's been on for so long. But key on, engine off, it's at 12.7. It's at 12.7 on our multimeter and as well as on the dash. So we'll fire the bike up here and see where we're at. Didn't seem to want to start, but it finally did go. So engine running, we're at 14.1 volts, confirmed on here. However, in Ducati Diag, it's reading 12.7. Let's give the bike a little shot of revs here and see if we can get that 12.7 to come back up. Working correctly. But if I try and reproduce that error with the there it is right there actually. And then it kind of spits and sputters and stalls. There it is again. Check engine light comes on. Crash again. Gotta do this quick, it's starting to get really smoky in here. So we'll reconnect really quick. Maybe a look at the voltmeter here and see if that fluctuates when this error comes up. And it doesn't. Oh. And it just stalled the bike out because it's cutting the ignition. Whew, it stinks in here now. Okay, so hopefully this will help you guys out with help me identify the problem. I'm certainly leaning towards a faulty TPS sensor at this point, but I think the charging system's working okay. We're not getting any fluctuation on the battery voltage while it's running and when these issues are occurring. When I tried my other ECU, I have this one right here. This is off the bike. It's an old slip-on ECU, as this bike used to have a slip-on exhaust system before. So these are the part numbers on it. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try and face away from the light here. So that's 96518-607B. And then it has another part number over here of S37PNA02. And those are all pretty much all the numbers on it. I don't really see anything else on it here. Anyway, when I had this ECU installed on the bike, I installed it, went in okay. Before I started the bike, I reset the throttle position sensor, and then I started the bike, but it really didn't want to run with it. It seemed to be just dumping fuel into the bike. It wouldn't hold the idle, and even if I tried to give it some revs to get a little bit more air in, it wouldn't run with it, and there was thick white smoke pouring out of the exhaust pipes, and also that helped me discover a small exhaust leak that I have down here. So that's another issue that I have to fix. It's not a big exhaust leak, but it's enough to rattle a piece of paper when the bike's running. So the pipes just need to get smooshed back together a little bit better. But that's a task for another day. So anyway, as I was saying, hopefully this video will help you guys kind of get an idea for exactly what's going on here, and maybe you can help me out in diagnosing it and then fixing it. From what I understand, a new throttle position sensors are readily available. I found a couple on Gotham Cycles. They sell parts off of crash bikes, from what I understand, and you can install them into the throttle bodies, but Ducati's official line is that if the throttle position sensor's gone, you need to replace the entire throttle body assembly. I'm not quite sure which direction I'm going to take yet. A new throttle body assembly, I think, is around $200 from Gotham, so it's not an unreasonable price. But the sensor is only about $50. So again, I'm not sure which way I'm going to go, but we'll cross that bridge once we figure out exactly which system on this seems to be failing. So anyway, thank you. Once I finished recording the video there, I noticed that I forgot to check the DTC to see what errors were coming up when the bike stalled out. So we'll just do a quick another video here that I'll attach to the end of the other one of the errors that it throws when the bike kind of spitters and sputters right around at that throttle position opening. So we'll fire the bike up here really quick. 12.9 volts showing on the Ducati Diag, 12.8 volts showing on this. Fire the bike up. Jeez, really didn't want to start there. Okay, so let's see if we can get it to happen here again. There. So that just actually stalled the bike out too. So let's see what errors it came up with. And it's just coming up with a throttle position sensor error. Let's hit the DTC button, and that's all it's coming up with, just a throttle position sensor error. Okay, so I'll attach that to the end of the other video, and hopefully we can figure this out. Thank you.